The sun at the time of this full moon, December 13th, is still in Sagittarius, where it will remain before it enters Capricorn this coming week. The strongest aspects in this chart, as always with the full moon, includes the exact 00 degree, 0 minute opposition between the sun and the moon. Here we see the need to balance our strong emotions, especially with Mars, our aggressive conversations, maybe even discussing our survival needs, and stay focused on the heart of the issue, which is where the sun is. The higher perspective of what is best for all and how not to just be on the offensive or to prove that we are right, but to think from a top-down global perspective of what is right and wrong in society, our nation, and the global community. And to ensure our conversations move us forward, not staying in a tit-for-tat mentality. We must focus on bringing back universal truths, basically what is right for society as a whole. I know this might sound a little political, but this is what the chart is talking about at this time. This is what the universal energies are pushing us towards. We also have the EST ascendant on Sirius and the descendant with Fortuna. This opposition is also exact in this chart. So we will be most blessed at this time through working to construct fair, just, balanced relations with others. Sedna, retrograde in Taurus in the 11th, is also in an exact square to Atropos, fate, with Regulus in Leo in the 2nd. This is showing us that there is a focus on a time to share the stories of how we all, not just one segment of society, have been used or neglected or abused by those in authority in some way. It is time to spotlight, to create a turning point to heal those who have been abandoned by their own families, communities, or nations at large. Now let's look at the chart as a whole. This full moon's EST ascendant is conjunct Sirius, like we just said, in Gemini. This is saying that the give and take of information amongst peers is very important at this time. The moon 3 degrees at the end of Gemini, conjunct Mars retrograde on the cusp of Cancer. This shows that at this time, people will be emotionally driven to speak, give, and receive information at this time, almost as if their survival depends on it. The energy changes to Cancer. With Varuna, there will be a birth of a new and healing form of leadership, almost like a new world order. But with Varuna, it will be based on universal truths and higher ideals. The second house is influenced by Leo, with Atropos retrograde conjunct Regulus, which is the energy of Archangel Raphael. This shows us that those living in the harshest conditions and how they can be healed will be spotlighted. The third starts with Achilles retro in Leo conjunct Orcus, which is below Leo in the constellation of Hydra. There will be discussions spotlighting the weak link in something internal, some form of leadership that has been doing harm. The full moon's ESTIC, 1 degree Virgo with the South Node, shows our emotions at this time are grounded in bettering the issues at hand. But we must not move forward solely from emotional motivations alone. That is imperative. Maki retrograde at the bottom of the chart is equidistant from Arcturus as Haumea. This, which would be right about here, this is showing a need to have a protector or someone in authority that is going to punish predators and those taking from others, but yet still have the best interest of everyone in mind. The fourth has Nemesis conjunct Sirius. This is showing us that karma is coming due now. Haumea conjunct Vesta shows that there are higher ideals being revitalized in these areas. The 5th has Juno in Libra at the midpoint. This is a turning point where justice will come for those who have been taken advantage of. Astrea in 0-degree conjunction to the EST vertex, the last degree of Libra on the cusp of Scorpio. At this juncture, it almost seems as if divine intervention is our partner in making right what has been dark for too long. A massive amount of universal energy is near the EST descendant in Sagittarius, where our sun still resides at this time. The 6th house starts with Scorpio and Ophiuchus energy, but then changes to Sagittarius, where we see Ixion, Mercury, Pholus, and Quaoar. Expanding your own awareness of understanding how to be a better person by observing, learning from those who are being ungrateful and destructive guests, and those who are breaking our trust at this time. Watch, look, and listen to all that is going on in your community, in your country, in the globe. Be open to what it can teach you at this time. This will have a transformative effect on you if you open yourself up to receive more universal wisdom and use it to envision, manifest a more positive, constructive way to be part of the global national conversation, changing world philosophies, which is happening as we speak. But it's asking us all to join this conversation. Of course, to what degree would depend on your own natal chart. Eros and Fortuna show that the most blessings will manifest for us at this time if we master this energy and bring it forth into all our dealings with others at this time. The descendant conjunct Lilith on the midpoint of Sagittarius. It is time to manifest constructive relationships with the global population, acting in ways that are philosophically and truly best for humanity at large, even if that goes against what has been considered as mainstream philosophies or politics, or even religion. In Sagittarius, in the 7th, with Pallas Athena, it is time to fight for what is just. This is what the universal energies in this chart are showing that they support at this time. The sun in Sagittarius continues to ask us to contemplate and share our understanding, our own personal beliefs of the philosophies that are for the highest and best good of humanity, not just one segment, not just a minority, not just one religion, not just one race or gender. This might vary for each individual. That is why one-on-one discussions are vital at this time, and the fact that we all engage. Being open to hearing all perspectives from around the world and around our nation and within our community and in our families. This will help us make the most informed decision on what is best for everyone. As Pluto enters Capricorn, still under the influence of Aquila and Altair, the eagle that is the reborn Scorpio, the need to create positive, constructive foundations out of the previous discarded, dark, destructive motivations, thoughts, actions, and institutions. This Pluto moving into Capricorn will focus on tearing down and destroying the old toxic, poisonous, destructive, dark institutions to make space for healing, light, and positive, constructive societal institutions to take their place. It is imperative to be part of the thought process and conversation. Don't let this opportunity pass by. These energies are not always supportive, but they are supporting this now. Be part of the conversation and thus the solutions that will be formed at this time. That is what the universe is asking us to manifest at this full moon, with the sun's focus in Sagittarius and the moon with Mars in Gemini. Ceres is on the cusp of the 7th and 8th houses with Charlico, 2-degree conjunction. It is time to establish a healing, protective, nurturing, balanced institutions for all, for the majority of humans, not just the minorities. This is needed to heal the dark and toxic emotions caused by the imbalance and unfair foundational societal institutions of these past years. This is what the full moon chart is showing us. Even Fomalhaut, the divine messenger, Archangel Gabriel's energy, is in this part of the full moon chart, with Venus helping us come out of these dark days into the light with an understanding of how to move forward in a fair, just, and balanced way. Saturn, still in Aquarius, close to Nessus, in the 9th house. We are supposed to be learning, teaching each other how to protect one another, how to build a bridge between universal wisdom, universal law, and societal structures. If we don't, more women and more children, the most vulnerable of us, will continue to be abused. The MC and North Node in the 9th, with Neptune between them, all in Pisces. The universe is telling us it is time to learn how to manifest the highest, most positive, most constructive understanding of the divine and universal wisdom, a world philosophy which is harmonic, meaning it is a world societal structure which makes the people within it healthy, physically, materially, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and energetically, which, of course, the entire world population will never master this. There will always be societies that promote chaos, disharmony, physically, materially, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, energetically, ill health. They'll promote ill health among its population. But is this what you want for your country, your society? We all have to be part of the solution in our own countries, our own communities, our own neighborhoods, and our own families. That is what the universe is asking at this time. Aphrodite in Pisces at the top of this chart. Beauty, which is harmony, and harmonic, loving sexuality are also at the top of our awareness at this time, or the lack thereof it. In the midpoint of Pisces, it is asking us to change our views on beauty and sexuality, to use them for a higher, more constructive purpose, rather than base reasons that harm others. Chiron in Pisces in the 10th is equidistant from the top of the chart, as is Aphrodite. We might never heal our own wounds surrounding beauty, disharmony, or dark sexual experiences, but we are at a juncture now to manifest a long-lasting societal foundation to heal others in regards to these issues. Eris with Hygieia. This will include a new or alternative energetic healing modality. So stay tuned for that. Dejanira in Aries. It is time to build institutions that will protect the youngest and most vulnerable victims of trafficking and sexual abuse, which we are seeing in the news everywhere right now. The 11th starts with Aries and then switches to Taurus with Uranus at 0 degrees Taurus. This is retrograde energy again. So this energy is more internal than active energy. Uranus retrograde, you need to spend time being mindful to listening for insight on how best to join the national and global conversations regarding humanitarian ideals at this time. Sedna, also retrograde. Take any wisdom you have learned from your own experiences of being used for another's gain, from personal abuse, sexual or not, from neglect, and share it with the nation, the globe, or just your community or your family or closest friends. On a more global perspective, you can do that via your preferred social media platform. We live in the 21st century. It's not hard for us to connect. And since we can connect, there is no excuse for us not to have productive conversations. At this point in our societal evolution, Atropos, fate, is 2 degrees from Aldebaran, protective and guiding energy of Archangel Michael. If you are reluctant or afraid to post personal insight online, ask Archangel Michael or your guardian angels to give you strength and protection to do so. It is supported and protected at this time. Jupiter retrograde follows closely, letting you know that you will be protected and blessed if you help expand national global consciousness by adding your personal experiences to the conversation. Cupid retro in the 12th, still in Taurus energy, and now, well, actually Orion energy. Remember to share your thoughts with a desire to bring harmony back into yours and others' lives, not just for retribution. This is very important. Finally, we're back in the energy of Gemini, but with chaos in the 12th house. All that the universe is asking, pushing us to do at this time will help you turn any chaos you have been feeling internally, mentally, emotionally, or even physically into something that you can bring to a deeper understanding to all and harmony to yourself and your psyche. Okay, there's the chart. Now let's take a quick look at which aspects are blocking and which aspects are supporting the highest expression of this chart's energy and how to manage both for the best outcome. Okay, harsha aspects in a chart are simply aspects, energetic blockages that need to be overcome in a chart to allow them to be supportive aspects. So they're not all bad. So let's look at what we've got here. In this chart, we have one crucifix, one exact crucifix, and it is going from the moon to the sun and making that opposition is making a 90-degree angle from Eris and Hygieia down to Sirius and Nemesis, which in turn is making an exact grand square between these 4 points. So what do we have to do to manifest this, to unblock it, so that the energy of these points is allowed to flow as it should in the chart for the highest manifestation of the chart? So what needs to be done is exactly what we talked about before. This opposition between the sun's emphasis still in Sagittarius and the moon's more aggressive, more emotional communication style at the moment within our communities about basic survival needs, and how that no matter what we're discussing, that we need to be thinking about this from a global or a national perspective, so that it's not just about retribution or bruised egos, so to speak, right? Okay, so this has to be balanced, these two groups of energy, particularly the moon and the sun, but everything else that's influencing them that we've already spoken about. But this has to be done simultaneously with the energies of this opposition, which has to do with new ways of healing societal structures and that come from a higher perspective or a universal truth or a higher set of morals, so to speak. And that has to be balanced with nemesis, which is basically divine, in mythology or the allegory or the understanding or the teaching of it is divine retribution. So, and that is at home, right? And to perfect this, to make this better. So this is saying that we need to balance, even though we want to have universal and high moral ideas, we still have to punish, for the lack of a better word, those that have been not supporting, those that have created this aggressive emotional standpoint from so many, or even personally, this could be within your own family. The chart, because of Sagittarius and the sun being there, it's talking more of a global, national, societal perspective. But this could also be within your own home, in your own family, in your own community, in your own business, place of business. All right. But just know this is talking about a greater good at this time, because that's the part of the chart that the sun is in. So again, it can't be about just retribution. It has to be about the good of everyone, but the healing has to include ensuring people take responsibility for their actions that have not been for the best of the home or the family or the nation or the blah, blah. Okay, we get that. All right, so that is extremely important. This is the harshest energy in this chart. The crucifix is the one that causes the most suffering if it is not balanced. Okay. But if we can balance all of these in this conversation that they're talking about, then we can actually move forward and do something very progressive and very healing for our society. Right. Okay. There is another plow affecting Regulus with Atropos, fate. Okay. So we should pay attention to this. And this is the opposition between Astrea with the EST vertex and Sedna, all right, retrograde. And if this opposition between, we talked about earlier, justice, right, with partners and doing what's best by others and getting rid of the toxic and focusing on the, coming at the end of Libra, coming to a full manifestation of what is just in relationships, opposing, being balanced with the humanity of helping others who have been abused, neglected, used in some way by an authority figure. If this is not balanced, then fate, even though it's on Regulus, which is supposed to be healing at this time, this chart is talking about basically societal healing. If this is not balanced, then this will not come into manifestation, which would be very sad since we have all this universal energy supporting us at this time. Then we have this teeter-totter. It's kind of a rolling, for lack of a better word, it's kind of a rolling opposition, but a much wider one. And here, in the position we see it in, we see it as a teeter-totter between the top and the bottom of the chart, that the rights of the individual or minority needs to be balanced with the needs of the majority or society at this time. The teeter-totter, it kind of operates like the scales of Libra, which serves to differentiate, to judge between two things, to balance them, to integrate them, to mediate them, right? Just as one acts as a judge or a referee, one also has to be a mediator or a facilitator of peace at the same time. Not easy, but it needs to be done. The teeter-totter is showing us that there is a problem, that there is a split, that there are two camps, right? Which is never good for society. And it causes conflict because no house or no chart divided against itself can stand, right? And this will cause one or a society to expend a lot of energy to try to keep the house or the chart from falling. And those in charge need to be very good at being able to deal and do what is just for both sides of all issues. I didn't say it was easy, but this is what they want. This is what the universe is asking at this time. Okay, so those are the challenges which are one is able to overcome if one understands what the energy is asking. Okay, so let's do the more supportive harmonic aspects. Okay, harmonic aspects are simply supportive aspects that work behind the scenes, but they are much more productive if we know about them and can use them consciously. Okay, so this chart has a six-pointed star, or the star or shield of David, or Merkaba. You can call it what you want. It's a six-pointed star. It is the greatest blessing any chart can bestow. So all of this, even though this sounds very complex, what is going on? Excuse me. I'm just getting over COVID, so I apologize. It's the greatest blessing, but we need to know how to use it. Okay, so where is it in all of this? All right, so the exact Star of David is from the moon. It is going to Juno, and then it's going up to the MC. Okay, the first is an active air-water trine with the moon, Juno, and the MC. This is showing us a need to use a higher ideals with better understandings of the second trine, which is a receptive fire earth trine. Okay, sounds odd, but it is. Okay, and that is coming from the IC up to the sun to Uranus retrograde. Okay, so there's our beautiful six-pointed star. It is an exact, meaning it's in 0 degrees for the most part, or less than 1 degree, all of these aspects. So it is extremely powerful energy at this time. So going back, it's the need to actively use higher ideals with better understanding of basically scorched earth or destructive societal issues that are present in our society at this time. This gives us kites to all 6 points, meaning all 6 points, Uranus, the fact that this is an important endeavor at this time that is motivated by our emotions, what we've been talking about, the focus of the sun in Sagittarius, and the issues of the moon being highly emotionally charged and a bit aggressive, right? With Mars there, even though a lot of that could be internalized because Mars is retrograde. All right. So it's a matter of balancing all of these aspects and needs. And I'm sorry, and Juno also, the good citizen or the good spouse who is being unjustly or unfairly abused in the relationship, and the need with Uranus for a more insight and a better understanding to birth a higher understanding of how to own and how to bring back into, Taurus is a very earthy sign, back into our nation to remove the abuse and to bring joy back into our lives. That's a lot. But with the support, the thing is you have to know when these energies are with us and when they're against us, and now they're with us. So it's imperative to use them now before the energy passes. And like I said, the sun will still be in Sagittarius this week. It won't go into Capricorn until the 20th of January, which coincides with the inauguration day. All right, so I love these charts because they are as above, so below. If you want to know what's going on in your life, just look at your personal charts or look at these more generalized charts, and you will know exactly what's going on, why it's going on, and how to deal with it. It's beautiful. Okay. Yes, and we spoke about Juno here being about the need to the desire for justice of the abuse of innocence, and that the MC is that we have to make a public manifestation of this at this time, right? So that was all part of the star or shield of David. And remember, here with Uranus internalized, listen for, watch for, be conscious of, be mindful of flashes of insight that help you help out in ways to make all of this manifest, right? Because we're all part of the whole. We're all part of our community. We're all part of our global population, right? So we all have to be part, just like being part of a family where everyone has a chore. We all have to be part of it. Okay. Then there is another trine here. It is not a Star of David. It's an independent trine. And quite often, when you have a Star of David, independent trines show you what energies can be used to help you succeed in being able to consciously control the 6 points of the Star of David. Okay, so here we have, and this is an active water, so it's an emotional spiritual trine. It has Varuna, excuse me, here in Cancer. In the first, so sorry, the COVID was pretty bad this time. So anyway, 2 Antares in Scorpio in the 5th, and then up to Aphrodite in Pisces in the 9th. All right, and this is giving us a kite to Amor, which is retrograde near Aldebaran and Jupiter. So there will be great blessings for all of humanity through the establishment of higher truths, higher morals, higher ethics, through the riddance of toxic elements, especially sexual abuse, and the establishment of a more loving and harmonic societal philosophies. Then we have, it's showing us another receptive air trine, and that's from Haumea Vesta here in Virgo in the 4th up to, yes, up to Fomalhaut and then over to Chaos. Which is retrograde in our psyche, right? In the 12th in Gemini. So here we see that we are, oh, and it makes 3 kites, this one. It makes a kite to here, to Regulus, which is with Atropos Fate. Then it makes a kite to Ixion, which is right here. And then it makes another kite to Dejanira. The energy of this trine is supporting these 3 points. Very specific, very stable. So it's receiving insight. We are receiving insight now on how to stop the chaos, how to stop the abuses of those in our family nation, how to become better world citizens. And this will bring blessings to us all. And then there is a castle. So the castle is here. Again, we have the sun and the moon involved. And the IC, then a cross, of course. And then this is shooting energy up to Uranus. All right. And it's always this corner of a castle that is the pivotal part, which again is the sun. Now, these aspects, it might sound a little redundant, but they are underscoring the importance of the energy of the month. So this is telling us that the manifestation of the sun's focus this month is supported to build lasting insight into how to make our nation more humane and more fulfilled and more joyous and more pleasurable, how to birth that again. I mean, this is huge. Unfortunately, this castle is double-sided. When a castle is double-sided, the roof points downward is not a castle, it is a pit. So we need to look at that because that's what's going to happen if we don't manifest what it's asking. Okay, so this pit is going down to Juno. If we don't do what the energy they've been talking about the entire chart, if we don't balance all of this, if we don't lead, if our conversation is just about retribution and not about the betterment of all, but even though it's for the betterment of all, we still have to make sure that those that have been neglected or abused in these last years, especially the innocent, if there isn't justice brought for them, then the pit is showing us that the injustice will basically continue, which would be a real shame. If we don't find a way to protect the most vulnerable innocent among us, we will continue to suffer emotionally, all of us, and toss and turn, have aggressive emotions, conversations, thoughts, even arguments in our own head. So let's get rid of this before next week. You know, let's Let's come to terms, even if it's just personally. Let's come to terms. Because even if it's not on the national stage or global stage yet, for each one of us that comes to a more balanced, more harmonic perspective and understanding and argument and philosophy, that's contagious and it will spread, right? Everything starts at home, so to speak. Okay, and then there are some mystical envelopes. And okay, so we've got Maki Maki, right? And that's opposing Aphrodite. And then we have, of course, Antares, which is always a direct opposition to Aldebaran, which I've discussed before. So this is making a mystic envelope. And basically, to master this, we must be able to balance these opposing energies. Again, it's always these opposing energies. Just always be aware of that. That's, what life is all about is, balancing opposing energies, right? The better you are at that skill, the better literally everything in your life becomes. Okay. No extremes. Extremes are never good in any facet of life. Okay, so this particular mystic envelope is showing us the need to be rooted in the idea of having an unbiased protector of all, someone who will punish predators and those who are taking from others. And that comes again from Arcturus. Remember, Maki Maki is here next to Arcturus. But this person or society or government, blah, 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 they cannot solely be motivated by retribution. This is showing us the need to have a protector of all, someone who does punish predators or those who are taking from others. That's what, like I said, that's what Arcturus was showing us here by Maki Maki, right? The wisdom to do that. But also a person who's not just acting from malicious or egocentric or ideas of retribution, to punish or to bring people to bear responsibility for their unjust actions. If that is done from the heart for the betterment of all, then we can make progress. So yes, I mean, it might sound like a thin line when it comes to the actions that are manifest, but actually the energy behind the thoughts, the energy, the motivations behind the actions are the key to what makes something productive or destructive in our lives. So this mystic envelope, it's the same thing. We need to be able to balance these four distinct, here's Saturn and Uranus in the eighth, and then the DC are relationships, our higher philosophies of relations, right? And then the AC our relationships with selves and the conversations we're having with ourselves, what we're birthing with at this time, and the morals and values behind that. With the Orcus, the Achilles, making sure that we do not leave room for that Achilles heel, that what we manifest is truly inspired by higher ideals so that we don't end up, it doesn't end up, falling apart in the years to come. The self must be balanced with others, with the new governing body, which is all of us. We must understand that the Achilles heel of new policies have to be not only legally just, but be in accordance to universal truths and laws as well, if they are to stand the test of time. Okay, to take the full moon energy to its barest essence, we'll just take a second and look at the sacred geometric aspects using just the traditional planets. As you can see, we have a bowl formation, right? It's an upside down bowl, but it's still a bowl. The bowl symbolizes a blessing or a curse. It's like having all your eggs in one basket. It signifies being on the offensive, which is what the chart, when we looked at it in detail, was very, very specific, was an issue at this time. The bowl signifies being headed in one direction only, like being on a mission. This bowl is pivoting on the energy of the sun and Mercury in Sagittarius at this time. It's focusing on the conversation, which these become the most significant planets in the chart. With a bowl, the other half of the chart is literally a huge blind spot. Under this energetic influence, a person or society needs assistance from others to get things done. A bowl that is overturned, like this one is, right? It's basically emptying out and this is showing that the mission or the important conversation at this time is about higher ideals, pouring the light into the darkness, so to speak. Remember, Sagittarius is action in the realm of learning, understanding, teaching universal truths that should be the understanding behind societal, national, global philosophies, or even religious philosophies. This is what the full moon in Gemini and the sun in Sagittarius is asking us to wrap up this week before the sun enters Capricorn next week on Inauguration Day. That is when the energies will be asking us to manifest these ideals into our communities, our society, our families, our nation at large, or even the globe. At this time, be open to new ways of thinking, new sources of information, and adjust your perspectives accordingly to any new insight you may gain from this. Nothing is gained through fear of change, even if it's just fear of changing one's perspective or one's philosophy. And that includes, and not just in society or in global issues, but in ourselves. Okay, so these are the universal energies at play at this time and what the universe is asking us to manifest at this time. I hope it didn't seem too political. I was just reading the energies. So please take it as it resonates with you personally. And of course, I wish everyone a blessed day and all the best. Until next time, bye bye for now.